Well, hello and welcome to the Lockhart Radio Podcast. I am your host, Felicia Lockhart. Today we're looking at how CDL licenses are being given to undocumented drivers. So we're going to take a look at it, and we're going to also, at the end of this, I think, get a clear understanding that this thing is happening all over the place. We're going to look at a couple of videos from two different news sources. One's going to be the New York dealing with the lawsuit that's coming to them. And then we're also going to look at first the arrests that were made in Florida surrounding CDL licensures. Now, I don't know whether you know it or not, but in late 2024, a CDL training school operating out of Washington State, they made headlines for all the wrong reasons. The name of the organization was Skyline CDL School. Now, this school had branches in Oregon. They also had branches there in Washington. And they became the focus of a state-led investigation into fraudulent testing practices that put hundreds of unqualified drivers on the road. And in a moment, you're going to see the video out of Florida that pretty much talks about what's going on in Florida. But if you juxt it, it tells you that this is going on everywhere. So their state-led investigation into fraudulent testing practices that put hundreds of unqualified drivers on the road. The Washington State Department of Licensing discovered that Skyline was involved in a bribery scheme in which an independent CDL examiner, Jason Hodson, was allegedly paid between $520 to $530 per student in cash. Now, the money was handed off in envelopes that were often marked with the students' dates of birth for identification purposes. And in return, Hodson passed students who had not legitimately earned their commercial driver's license. Now, between 2023 and 2024, Hodson reportedly administered over 870 CDL tests. When many of those same drivers were retested under the proper supervision, a shocking 80% of those individuals failed. And it was a clear sign of how deep the misconduct went. In response, Washington State revoked over 110 licenses that were issued under false pretenses. Regulators immediately suspended the Skyline CDL's school license to operate in Washington in December of 2024, halting its ability to train new drivers in the state. Now, if in your time of leisure you want to take a look at it, you can pull them up. And when you go to their website, you're going to see them having all of these individuals that didn't even speak English. They looked, let me just say this because I don't want people to think that we're being racist, because we're not. I'm just going to tell you the facts. When I lived overseas, the clothing and the apparel of the individuals in the country that I was living in, which was Germany at the time, looked totally different than what we came with from the United States into that country. They had a different look. Their skin was even more different because they had healthier skin because they weren't eating the food that we were eating. And they were markedly smaller than the Americans was. So what I'm making my point is, there was a difference. These individuals bear those examples, which tell me that they were not from here, right? They were not from here. They were from somewhere else. So keeping that in mind, Skyline's branch there in Hillsboro, Oregon, was not shut down, but they did face some consequences. The Oregon Department of Transportation issued a $500 fine, for failing to report the regulatory action that was taken against the school in Washington. While relatively small, that fine signals Oregon's awareness of the growing scrutiny surrounding Skyline's operations. Beyond their licensing issues, this scandal raised major public safety concerns. Well, of course it did, because you've got all these unqualified drivers, some unable to even properly operate a commercial vehicle. They were now on American highways, endangering themselves and others. And the case that caught attention of federal officials and the Truck and Safety Coalition called on the U.S. Department of Transportation's office of the Inspector General to conduct a broader investigation into fraud and abuse in the CDL testing nationwide. All right. So now, as this story unfolds, the state officials in Washington did plan to present their findings at a national conference of CDL regulators. And the goal is to strengthen testing protocols and eliminate fraudulent practices that could jeopardize road safety. While Skyline CDL School has not yet been criminally prosecuted, the state's swift action serves as a warning of other programs that cutting corners comes with serious consequences. And it really isn't even that they were cutting the corners, baby. They were literally doing what they were doing because they wanted to cheat. And that's exactly what they did. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at what happened in the state of Florida and what they discovered in Florida, which is off the charts. It really is. So we're going to take a look at that right now. It's already queued up. We'll take a look at it together. And I want you guys to let me know what you think.
Minor shortcuts. These were intentional acts of corruption where individuals paid bribes in exchange for skipping critical safety evaluations. The investigation also led us to arrest 5 additional individuals who are acting as brokers running local businesses that claim to assist with immigration paperwork, but instead arranged illegal transactions and funneled aliens from as far away as Miami to obtain licenses fraudulently. Let me be clear that putting untested, unqualified drivers, especially those with commercial licenses, on our roads is an unacceptable risk to every family in this state. These licenses were essentially sold, not earned. That means we have individuals on the road, possibly operating tractor trailers, who never demonstrated the basic skills to do so safely. It's not a paperwork issue. It's a direct threat to highway safety and a betrayal of the public trust. The scope of this investigation: yesterday we seized over $120,000 in illicit proceeds tied to this operation. Evidence suggests that hundreds, if not more than 1,000 fraudulent driver's licenses were issued as part of this scheme. It's been ongoing for over 2 years, and this investigation is continuing to be ongoing and will expand statewide as we work to identify those who receive licenses illegally and hold all parties accountable. Each license issued could result in felony criminal charges for the license holder, and our investigation will be expanded by our state partners to hold these individuals accountable. A search warrant was executed yesterday at a business in Callaway called Cuba Max, which is involved in processing immigration documents. Again, I want to commend the outstanding teamwork and partnership of our investigators. And it's a multi-agency effort with close coordination between law enforcement, the tax collector's office, and other state and local partners. This is the kind of teamwork it takes to root out corruption and protect our citizens. I'd also like to commend.
One important thing I want you to notice: did you see how he said the tax collector's office and this office and all these different offices that they were making aware of this? These illegal immigrant drivers, this whole entire scheme has money that is funneled in all different ways. Now, if you go over to the Lockhart Perspective this morning, you'll see where we were talking about people receiving $200 inside of Kentucky for giving fake driver's license to illegal immigrants there. Those were just standard driver's license. What we're looking at right here are CDLs, big trucks driving down the road. Do you realize how many groups have made money off of all sides of this? You've got the attorneys who now have these big videos that are going all over the news saying, hey, are you a victim of one of these 18-wheelers? Have you been a victim? Well, we want you to give us a call, because if you've been a victim of one of these big drivers, big trucks, we need you to come on and give us a call, because they're going to get money. So I'm not saying that these are all concerted efforts, that they're all patched in together, but until we see otherwise, isn't it okay for us to think that way? That's the first question. And then the second question is, what are these local governments doing to ensure that who they are, who they're giving these licenses to really are qualified? I'm going to tell you something. The trucking industry as a whole here in the United States has always been a part of our hearth. It's actually been the core of America, because they're the ones who keep us rolling in every essence. trucks that go from one port to the grocery or one port to a distribution center. They go and they pick up the goods and they drop them off, and they have been attacking this industry for years. If you look at how many of the regulations that were put in the very beginning of Obama's administration on this trucking industry. But now with all these regulations, we have this going on. So I think that it's often the same way. When you think about it, you got to know that you know that you know that somebody knew this in the government. It was the same face that the Kentucky governor made when the question was asked, does this have anything to do with illegal immigrants? And his eyes blinked a couple of times. And he said, no. Well, you knew that he wasn't telling the truth. You knew it. It's the same thing here. There's a lot of dirt going on, and somebody needs to be held accountable more than just these people being thrown in jail. There needs to be internal investigations all the way down to whoever it was that passed them, right? Let's go ahead and finish.
Chuck Purdue, as soon as he was made aware of this investigation, he became an investigator himself. He worked with us closely to make sure that these individuals were held accountable. Certainly a difficult situation when individuals in your office choose to do the wrong thing, but the important part is that we hold them accountable when we do that. So Chuck, thank you for your efforts. So we want to talk about the individuals that we arrested.
I say investigate Chuck.
Employees are Banceli Velazou, age 37, of Panama City, charged with 9 counts of DMV employee issuing a fraudulent ID, which is a felony, and 9 counts of official misconduct. Demetrius Smith II, age 30, of Panama City, on 8 counts of DMV issuing a fraudulent ID and 8 counts of official misconduct. And additional charges are anticipated as each fraudulent driver's license can result in additional charges. The intermediaries that we arrested, who were the individuals that the aliens would contact, and they would be referred to our 2 tax collector employees, were a Nirbus Rosales, age 37. She was arrested on 24 counts of principal to DMV fraud and 24 counts as a principal to official misconduct. Leonardo Gutierrez, age 32, of Panama City, 7 counts of principal to DL fraud and 7 counts of official misconduct. Hung Du, age 58, of Panama City, on 36 counts of principal to fraud and 36 counts of official misconduct. Esbredia Para, age 44, Panama City, 7 counts of principal to DL fraud and 7 counts of principal to official misconduct. Zola Gonzalez Pena, age 38, 12 counts. Also arrested but not identified as operating as an intermediary was Myrna Fernandez of Panama City on a charge of unlawful possession of a driver's license. It's believed that Fernandez obtained her driver's license fraudulently yesterday, paying to receive a passing grade on her exam in the skills exam. But to those who think that they can compromise public safety for profit, know this: we will find you, we will bring you to justice. And to the people of Bay County, I want you to know we are committed to preserving the integrity of our institutions and the safety of our roads. Thank you, and I'd now like to turn it over to our Attorney General.
I don't want to really, we're going to listen to the Attorney General, but here is the truth. The truth is that sting operations like this only get the low man on the totem pole. And I want to take the opportunity to stop for a moment and welcome John McNally. It looks like Nydia Quarles, and then Dale Knight. Hello to all 3 of you, and thank you so much for being a part of the chat. Well, let me ask you 3. Don't you feel like there are more people who should be busted for this? Because to me, it does not just start with those individuals that you can put your hand on. Generally, there are a lot of other people who know about this all the way up the whole entire food chain, right? It doesn't just start with those people in those local offices. For example, with what we were looking at a few minutes ago, the guy was getting between $520 and $530 just for passing people. So somebody above him had to get something. He didn't just come up with this idea on his own, but he'll definitely be the person that's going to take the fall for it. So we'll listen to what the Attorney General here has to say, and we'll go on to the next article. But I'm really, they're all cracked. Absolutely, Dale Knight says, I just don't know what to say. I'm very ashamed that they would allow this to go on. This stuff, these types of things, you all, this stuff is happening under the wire, but they know it because somebody above them is getting more money. I don't want to tell you who I thought started this whole thing, because I know that after the pandemic is when all of this started, with them bringing in all of these massive amounts of trucking companies in Los Angeles County alone, trucking companies out of nowhere. And do you guys remember the story that we did about 2 weeks, maybe even a month ago, where we were showing you the trucking companies that were not real? They had a house as an apartment as an address, and then when they looked it up, there was like 40 different companies using that same address of a one of those mailbox like to go type places. This stuff is far reaching. Let's go ahead and let's see what this other person with them has to say.
Thank you, Sheriff. It's good to be in Bay County. This county is certainly blessed to have great law enforcement and leaders.
Guilty.
I commend the Sheriff and Tax Collector Chuck Perdue on working so well with state law enforcement, Homeland Security, and all of our law enforcement partners to ensure that we could bust these guys. I think today is yet another example of how the Biden border policy puts American families at risk. Here you've got hundreds of aliens that are cheating, that are breaking the law, that are buying driver's licenses without taking the test, getting on the roads, putting everybody in danger. So, if there's any silver lining to come out of this terrible, discovery, it's that law enforcement worked very well together, continued to follow the breadcrumbs, and ultimately uncovered, a pretty widespread and advanced operation. So we know it happened here. If it happened here, there's a good chance it could be happening in a county somewhere else. So I ask, our DMV offices or tax collectors around the state, pay attention, do a deep dive, look out for, any signs of somebody taking cash on the side to help criminal aliens get driver's licenses. Maybe that can happen in California, but not here in Florida. We are a rule of law state. And we will do everything we can to work with the Trump administration and our federal partners to enforce the law. We've been working up and down the state, ensuring that we're keeping people safe. We were in Brevard County earlier this morning, where we highlighted a new program to protect the ICE agents and the federal authorities that are coming into our state to enforce the law. In California, you've got leftist groups out there that want to reveal personal information. They want to dox agents. If you don't understand this word, if it's new to you, doxing is when you reveal personal identifying information with the purpose of intimidating, threatening, and distracting from official duties. We want these guys here. They're protecting our families. And while they protect our families, we're going to protect theirs. So we've set up this new program where ICE and federal authorities can work with our troopers. And if there's any evidence of personal information getting out, we want to know. We'll ensure that we're doing routine checkups and get a detail to protect the agents and their families. As we go into the weekend, I know there's been, some rumblings about protests and demonstrations. We've all seen the horror in California with the destruction, the violence, the flames, the anti-American behavior. That doesn't happen here. In Florida, rioting is illegal. If you throw something, if you obstruct roadways, if you want to cause damage or harm to law enforcement, businesses, or our citizens, we will find you and we will put you away for a long time. So to put everybody on notice, if you want to participate in, peaceful free speech, nobody respects that more than we do. If you want to cause damage and destruction and engage in these violent demonstrations, we will shut it down fast.
Well, I'm glad that he at least said that. That's a good thing to know. So what I want to show you now is the story. Remember the original story that we started to look at? I want to go to their Instagram page because you're not able to see their website anymore. But some of those same individuals that are on the website, I've just found here on their, here, let's take a look. You remember what I said, how some individuals look? This was in April of this year. Now, we're not saying that any of the people that we're looking at are guilty. I'm just giving you the pictures from Skyline CDL School's Instagram page, right? So they have a lot of people here that are getting their CDL license. I don't see the other folks because they had a lot of video of people. I actually have it. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to share it with you. Hold on. Let's see if does this have music? Yeah, it does. So we can't show it. But I'm here to tell you, baby, that a lot of these folks don't even look like they were ever thought of being a truck driver. None of them even look so, listen, I know truck drivers. Trust me, I know truck drivers. Listen, it says we speak English, Spanish, Russian, Farsi, Ukrainian, and Turkish. That's what I saw. What do you see right here? These are the folks that I saw. This was 40 weeks ago. So yeah, that's right in line with what I'm trying to tell you. But there's a lot of people. Is there music here?
PSI working properly. Track, pass the test. Foot off. Number 4, no touch, no check, because you did before. Tractor trailer protection valve test. Explain. Tractor trailer protection valve should pop out between 20 and 45 psi. Hold.
This is the instructor. Just sit there for a second. That's the instructor. This is the school, their page that was closed down. For those of you who are just coming in late 2024, we are on the Instagram page of the company. All right. That in late 2024, they had their operation in Washington State make headlines. They had branches in both Washington and Oregon, became the focus of a state-led investigation into fraudulent testing practices that put hundreds of unqualified drivers on the road. The Washington State Department of Licensing discovered that this company, the Instagram page that we're on, Skyline, was involved in a bribery scheme, which an independent CDL examiner, Jason Hodson, was allegedly paid between $520 and $530 per student in cash. The money was handed off in an envelope, often marked with the student's date of birth for identification. In return, Hodson passed those students who had not legitimately earned their commercial driver's license. Now, a lot of you weren't here, but let me tell you that between early 2023 and late 2024, Hodson reportedly administered 870 CDL tests. Between early 2023, late 2024, he administered by himself close to 1,000 CDL tests. When many of those same drivers were retested under the proper supervision, a shocking 80% failed. A clear sign of how deep the misconduct went, and in response, Washington State then revoked 110 licenses that were issued under those false pretenses. Regulators immediately suspended this particular location's CDL school license to operate in Washington in December 2024, halting its ability to train new drivers in the state. Again, this is their trainer.
Watch from corner, not here, and hard pumping, like that, like that. Why? Because air come and same time pop out. You see? Tractor trailer protection valve popped out at 25 psi, working properly. Track pass the test. Pop out, neutral, off. Excuse me, I remove check wheel. Or, excuse me, I uncheck the wheel. Put seatbelt. Again, 3 point of contact and remove. Again, come back. 3 point of contact. Again, put your seatbelt. And I will do my second safety stop. I came on at 59 psi, working properly. Track, pass the test. Foot off. Number 4, no touch, no check, because you did before. Tractor trailer protection valve test. Explain. Tractor trailer protection valve should pop out between 20 and 45 psi. Hold, watch from corner, not here, and hard pumping. Like that.
My husband is one of the baddest drivers that I have ever met. He drives trucks. My first husband, I don't know how, I don't know why, it just happened. First husband, one of the roughest drivers that I've ever met driving in the military. But the husband that I have currently, that dude is cold with it. When I tell you my husband can drive, he can drive. I've driven with him in his truck, and this man can drive. I don't understand how anybody could even feel as if they knew what they were doing if they knew that they did not qualify to take that test. There is no way that me, having had my regular driver's license since I was 16 years old, could get confident enough or boneheaded enough to get behind the wheel of what my husband does every single day. There'd be no way. Even though I have confidently been able to drive since I was 16, and now I'll be 61 next month. There's no way in the world. There is no way in the world that I would get behind the wheel of one of these. Hey, are you sick of it? No, that's tonight at 6 o'clock right here. We're dealing with the homeless tonight at 6 o'clock, folks. That's what Are You Sick of It is asking. He said, did I miss the message on the homeless people? No, sir, you did not. That is not until 6 p.m. Central Time here in Alabama. And Max Vision, I don't want to not say hi to you. I said hello to everybody else. Hello to you. And hello to everybody else who's working and can't type in or say anything. You may be working, you may be driving, you may be listening. Hello to you. We want to make sure that we honor you as well. But there is no way on the planet, you guys, that I would ever have that much, moxie to think that just because I can drive a vehicle that I can get behind one of those. But don't you understand? These people do not even know how to speak English, which is the reason why they just made sure, the FMCSA just made sure that you got to speak English. You have to be able to read and write in English. So there's another problem. You see the layers, but I got to tell you, I have to agree with Dale. Because Dale said, I think it's going to be, I think it's, here, let's just put it up there. I think it's going to be some kind of takeover. Just not sure what avenue they will take. They have many. Let me tell you, I had a vision back in 2016. No, 2014. And I don't even want to say it here for fear that somebody would do something. You know what I mean? But I did have a vision of something like what you're saying, Dale, and it's not good. Are You Sick of It says, I'm a 57-year-old man. Felicia Ortega has my respect. I wouldn't get behind the wheel of a tractor trailer either. Do you see what I'm saying? But when I tell you he is rough, that dude can drive. I ain't never seen nobody back a truck like him. I ain't never seen nobody do what he does with a vehicle. He is really good. So that's why I'm saying I take my hat off to people like that. But when I see this type of teaching, I can only imagine, what does this lady who's sitting there listening to him look like when she's over the road? That's the question. They ended up testing all of these people, and 80% of these people did not complete the task. They did not complete the task. That's very, very, very unsettling. So let's go on ahead and continue to look through their page and see if we can see anybody else here. Okay, so that's the same guy. Now, this guy right here is the same trainer, and this is one of the people that got his certificate of completion in his hand. Again, they say we speak English, Spanish, Russian, Farsi, Ukrainian, and Turkish. Isn't that awesome? They speak all of those languages to help individuals get their licensure. They speak all of those languages. Okay. All right.
Зараз все частіше питають: народ, а де Женя поділася? На вас чекає топ неочікуваних відповідей. Увага! Женя навчалася на тракіста. І з цим
After seeing this reel, I'm going to get my CDL at your competitor's school, Lexus. This person says, oh my God. Somebody. I'm sorry, but that's funny. They said, after seeing this, I am going to get my CDL at your competitor's school. Lord help them. That's hilarious. And they got their music and they grooving to their music. And this is the chick that's behind the video. There you go, girl. Go ahead. Tear some stuff up. Go ahead on, tear it all up. Tear up some stuff. Because that's exactly what you headed to do. Tear some ish up. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And there are some more folks there. There's a picture of them there. All right. These are some of the reviews. These people here are some of their drivers. Here's some more drivers. You see that? This is the same guy teaching here. The certificate of completion there in his hand. Same dude teaching. Same dude. Okay, this is the same. That's the instructor. Lord help us today. Where's another instructor? That's just the only one I see. Not to say this cat's not, but there's an instructor. We know that for sure. All right. We see that for sure. There he is again. I wonder what his name is. Huh. Oh boy. Child, girl, sit down somewhere. And frankly, I am one of those people that don't believe women need to be in every business, baby. I'm sorry. This cat right here, he got his license. All right. Looks like Manute Bowl. He just came in from someplace else there. Yeah, but I don't believe women need to be in men's spaces. I just don't. Period. I do not agree. I don't think that's where we need to be. That's just me. If you don't like it, I love you anyway, baby, but I don't believe it. I just don't. You can tell when people are from here. And this is the reason why I'm so tired of being this politically correct. I'm not going to be politically correct. I'm not stupid. You can tell when somebody is from a location. You just can. And you just know, right? You just can't you see? Yeah, you can see. What is she doing? We are not supposed to be in every space. We're just not. We're just not. This the same trainer. My goodness. Finding happiness. Get CDL license. It's just a get CDL license. That's what it says. Yeah. 870 driving tests that one individual that they caught had administered. He had given the test to 870 people. That's a problem. It's a big problem. But this is where we are. Are you sick of it? Says, I live in Louisville, Kentucky. If you want to go to Walmart where people speak English, I have got to go out of the city to Shepherdsville. Wow. Yes, they are. Aerostar says, trade schools these days are a joke. Agreed. You guys, TradeStar, all of you all that are just coming in, please make sure that you hit the like button because that lets other people in our family know that we are live. Okay. Yeah, but they really are. They've gotten pretty creepy. So we've got more. Just to tie in with that, I'm going to show you again the video that you may have already seen. And it was pretty bad. So let me go ahead and pause this right here so you guys can hear it. I hope this is the right story. Sometimes I can let these deals on the other side run too long. And what'll end up happening is they'll go to another story if it's not on YouTube and it's just like an article. So hopefully this is the story. So let me just see if I can take it back just a smidge.
They're the ones who had 4 lives lost in that major crash in Kaufman County last week. Investigators say the driver of a semi fell asleep at the wheel and caused that deadly pileup. Our Amelia Magavro tonight taking us inside the vigil that took place in Fort Worth.
Your peace Panther Stadium at North Crowley High School was filled with song, tears, and balloons as classmates, neighbors, and loved ones gathered to remember the McKellar family.
During this time, my prayer for you is peace. Whenever situations arise during this entire family discord, I pray peace. Every situation, peace. Because this is a hard time.
20-year-old Evan McKellar is the only surviving member of her family and remains in the ICU tonight. Her mother, Kashan, father Zabar, younger brother Kason, and grandfather Billy were all killed in the crash. Hundreds filling the stands, standing shoulder to shoulder on the football field where 15-year-old Kason once played, many wearing his favorite color, blue. The crash happened less than 2 weeks ago on I-20 near Terrell. Investigators say the driver of a commercial truck fell asleep, setting off a violent chain reaction crash involving several vehicles. The McKellar family was traveling in a Ford F-150, 4 of them killed instantly. As balloons floated into the night sky, many prayed for Evan's recovery and promised to keep the McKellar family's legacy alive.
We're going to be here for her whenever she needs us, whether it's up or down, we're going to be there to support her. Something about this community, as we grieve, as we know loss, our faith is very strong. And so I think leaning on each other, prayer.
Now, Governor Greg Abbott has called this crash outrageous and unacceptable and has urged the Department of Public Safety to expand its investigation. But tonight was not about placing blame. It was about really coming together as a community and praying for a family touched by tragedy. In Fort Worth, Amelia McGalvro, CBS News, Texas.
And by the Texas Attorney General's office to
All right, so now I'm going to show you guys this video that's already going. Okay.
We're lost.
Okay, I'm gonna let you see it from the beginning. But this is the story that actually fits up to that one.
The family wants answers.
Attorney John Nohanick with Witherwright Law Group says a father, mother, son, and grandfather were killed inside this mangled truck from the deadly crash over the weekend. He says a granddaughter is in the hospital. John says he represents the father of the wife and mother killed.
Obviously, in talking to one of the family members earlier, it's a terrible tragedy how many people were lost in this entire family, with one struggling to stay alive.
The Department of Public Safety says on Saturday afternoon in Terrell on I-20 in Kaufman County, the driver of an 18-wheeler, 27-year-old Alexis Gonzalez Campioni, fell asleep behind the wheel, causing the deadly chain reaction crash. He's been arrested and charged with 5 counts of manslaughter and 1 count of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. John says they've put in a formal request to get data from inside the 18-wheeler. TPS says the truck is operated by Hope Trans LLC.
Each one of these trucks has a box similar to a airplane, and we get a hold of that box and download that box and find out everything that was going on with the truck.
The attorney says the black box or devices in the tractor trailer, such as electronic control modules, can show how fast the truck was going, if it was in cruise control, how long the truck was on the road, maintenance history, and many other details.
Well, the family grieves. We work to make sure that we get this information as soon as possible. It's very important information to get an idea of what was happening inside that vehicle.
Authorities have not yet officially released the victims' identities, but it doesn't take a name to know that many families, friends, and communities are in mourning. Sophia Beausoleil, NBC5.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news.
Okay, so that was that story. That was the tail end of that story. So there is now a grieving teenager who is without mom, who is without dad, who is without brother, and then you've got another family member. And then you've got this lady who had nothing to do with that other family, who was traveling in another vehicle when this guy fell asleep. Now, listen, I'm not saying this man went to one of those schools, but what I am saying is once they did their investigation on that company, Hope Transport or whatnot, and I hope that I'm saying that correct, they found out that this company was notorious for allowing vehicles to get over the road that should have had a partner driver, double drivers, that they were putting them on the road with just one cat. And that's what we looked at a few weeks ago. They were putting those individuals with just one person. And then when they tried to do the research to find out about this company, they found scores of trucking companies at that location, which was a mailbox. And originally, when we saw the other part of the story, we saw that they were using an address for an apartment, and then they switched it out and changed it to a totally different state. My only point to this is that these things are far-reaching, and they were allowed to go undetected for the past several years. These things were happening all along. And if you remember, we had accident after accident after accident. My son in California was interested in going to take and get his CDL, and I told him, do not take your test in California. Now, this was something that I felt instinctively. I said, because if you go out there to take that test and you're telling me they got all those schools that just popped up out there that you can go and choose from, and a couple of them had pretty bad reviews, and I will say that the reviews that I saw from one company, and I don't want to talk about them, but the one reviews that I saw out of the ones that he showed, one company was called Swift, and it did not have good reviews. So I told him, no, sir, if you're interested, you need to come on out here, find a reputable company and take your test and do it there, because I feel like those companies are popping up, putting anybody in those positions, and they're going to be driving around town and they're not going to be safe at all. Okay. So now the final story that we're going to have is when President Trump's Pam Bondi gets involved in some things that are happening in, I believe it's New York. Well, actually, I know that it's New York. They're going to be dealing with the lawsuit there. All right, let's go.
Illegal aliens over American citizens.
Now, this is not dealing specifically with just the CDLs. It, again, is covering the story that we looked at on Lockhart Perspective, the Lockhart Perspective, dealing with just driver's license in general. But I'm just showing this to show you exactly how far-reaching this is and how they are now, trying to laser focus in on these things. Now, here's the deal. Before I start this, I want to let you know that when Trump came in office this time, he already knew about some of the disparaging things that were done to our country while he was just like us, a regular citizen. And the one thing I want to say is I applaud him for at least making those crackdowns, because he tried to do it the best way that he could, having been in our seat, but having had the knowledge of what they were going to try to do. Because as you know, in any business, news travels fast. So somebody had to have told him, hey, this is what's happening. Did you know that they're bringing all these people in? Did you know that all these companies are sprouting up for truck driving? Did you know this and that? And so that's the reason why I believe that Trump had some intuitiveness and said, all right, look here, if you're going to be driving on our roads, you need to make sure that you can speak and read in English. Why? Because he already heard the rumor that all of this stuff was happening. And that is what I believe they were attempting to do with regards to the trucking industry. They were trying to besmirch the truckers so that way they can then shift their attention to more autonomous trucks in the future. Now, I could be wrong, but I truly believe that if you show that there is enough human frailty, human error, human fatigue, and sleeping behind the wheel, it would open the door for autonomous trucks and the companies that own them overall. Let's listen to what Pam Bondi has to say.
The new U.S. attorney announcing that the federal government is suing New York State over its so-called green light law. It allows undocumented immigrants to get driver's licenses and requires the feds to get a court order to access information from the Department of Motor Vehicles. Well, the measure here in New York was signed into law in June of 2019 and took effect that December. Well, the last time Siena College asked about this issue in public polling was more than 5 years ago. But back then, 43% of New Yorkers approved of the law, 53% opposed. So what does the green light law actually do? And is there any merit to the federal government's new lawsuit? Here's our 7 News anchor, Jeff Russo.
The green light law was enacted by New York State in 2019.
But what exactly is the green light law? I met with Jennifer Bain, a partner with Berardi Immigration Law in Williamsville, to learn more.
It essentially is where the DMV is issuing driver's licenses to individuals who may not have legal status in the United States.
Bain tells me that means individuals can obtain a New York State driver's license by using a passport or other photo ID without having to prove their immigration status.
Proponents of the Greenlight Law say that this is a really good thing for our society because it boosts economic development. It gives individuals legal driver's licenses so that they can get car insurance and drive to and from work. But there's a lot of critics out there too.
Among the critics, Erie County Clerk Michael Kearns, who filed a federal lawsuit in 2019 to challenge the Greenlight Law, claiming in part that it helps shield undocumented immigrants from detection by immigration officials. He said this today.
Right now, under the Greenlight Law, they can't get access to information, law enforcement, that they need. So if a law enforcement officer pulls someone over and they look at someone's standard driver's license, it doesn't say whether that person is here illegally or not.
Kearns lost his challenge in 2020, but Bain tells me the new lawsuit by Attorney General Pam Bondi has a new spin, taking aim at what's called the tip-off provision.
The tip-off provision is where New York DMV authorities will tip off the individual driver's license holder in their records if they are inquired by federal government agencies, namely immigration agencies like ICE or Border Protection, for information on that person's background.
New York requires a court order to hand over information to immigration authorities.
This one will be interesting because we're seeing this widespread push across the country. Federal government's suing plenty of states, identifying ways that states are interfering with federal immigration enforcement.
All right, Jeff joins us here now. So bottom line, I mean, does she think this case could end up being successful?
She doesn't see the Greenlight Law getting completely struck down, but this case, as we mentioned, is different than before. The challenge is different than before. She does think that it may require the state to make adjustments and change the Greenlight Law moving forward. We'll, of course, keep you posted.
All right, Jeff Russo tonight. Jeff, thanks.
I think that states that violate federal law, I think that they should lose all federal funding. No matter what the federal government is giving them, I think they should lose all of it. Now, I don't know, how fair that is constitutionally. I don't even know if there would be any provisions in the Constitution's makeup for what I'm saying. But I truly and honestly believe that if you put the safety and well-being of American citizens below your need and your ideology to bring in individuals and put them over us that are not even citizens, that have they don't have any, they don't have any skin in the game. Even the individuals who've been sitting on the list who got bypassed by all of these folks who just rushed our borders, they don't even have that esprit de corps. Those individuals who are at least going through the test and who can, tell us about our Constitution, who've actually legally given up their citizenship from their other countries and become American citizens, those individuals, as well as a regular American citizen, is getting slapped in the face by laws like this. And so that's why I say, if you decide that's how you want to play, no problem. You don't want to give anybody the information. You don't want us to be able to come in and govern our country the way any other country would do. You have the audacity to say that you're going to supersede the laws and safety of American citizens simply because of a political narrative that you're trying to build and maintain. Then I tell you what, you don't get no more money. Not another coin, not another dime, not another dollar, and let your citizenry deal with you. Yeah, because once that happens, inevitably, you're going to lose a lot more revenue. You're going to lose a lot of revenue. Why? Because all your citizens they're going to bounce. They're going to bounce. Okay? All right. So let me take you up here and let you look at this statement here that was made. I think it was Aerostar. I wish I had the ability to hold on to that phrase. It was a statement that you made. Oh, gee willikers. Here it is. I think this is it. All right. This is what we're talking about. They're tearing up the very fabric. And it is because they want to bring in other ways. That's the reason why I can't see the government not knowing, local and any other way. But again, I have to commend the mindset that Trump walked in with this time, because he did see that there was a problem in the trucking industry. All right. And that's the reason why a lot of these things are now being focused in on, because he heard all the rumors. So Aerostar says, I recently took an electrician's course at a private trade school. The OSHA training was rushed, designed for children, and insignificant. At the end, the answers to the test were literally given out. Can you imagine that type of electrician coming in your home? Can you flip and imagine? They're tearing the actual fabric of this place apart. And now that the tentacles are so widespread, ladies and gentlemen, I submit that there may not be a way to redeem all of this. You would literally have to not only close down specific, departments, as Trump is doing now, but you would also have to go in and just do I don't know who they'd be able to hire to go in and do a finite, almost forensic type of audit to see what companies are from here. Are these companies that are startups coming in from another country? Are they companies that are, showing that, okay, we have an LLC, but we're out of Delaware, we're out of Nevada, because we want, to stay low up under the radar. We want to have the easy way out. They need to do something. What the answer is, I have no idea. I don't have any idea. I have no idea. You see? I have no idea. Yes, I would like to welcome our two newest mods. That's Are You Sick of It and Sarah Carell. I thank each and every one of you guys for hanging out all the time with us. But Are You Sick of It and Sarah, I want to thank you guys for your participation. You guys are always here and you're always positive, as is everyone else here. You two have been around for a while and I do appreciate you guys. I appreciate your mindset, and I do understand that you guys both see exactly what my heart is for the channel and where my heart is. And so I know that, and I know that you know, as well as everybody else here, exactly what we look for with folks that are coming into the chat. Everybody's comments are welcome here, but when you're mean or vicious, you're going to have to deal with Are You Sick of It and Sarah. And none of the people that can be like that are here right now. So we've got all great company. We've got wonderful people here with us right now. And so, yeah, we don't have that as a problem right now. But if we did, you can trust and believe that part of our mod squad would definitely handle it. We've got a lot of mods and we've got a lot of great people. Unfortunately, not everybody gets there. You're so very welcome. And thank you. I'm honored to have you as a mod, as well as, an individual who does send information. You'll send text messages just to check and see, how my husband and I are. You are so very welcome, Sarah. And I'm honored to have you. So you guys are very, very responsive, and you also, do check on me. You'll send a text message, or when you're sending a message in the comments, you will make a reference to me. And so I appreciate that. And I do see that you do have my best interest at heart. And so we do need strong people like you. We appreciate it. And for any of you other folks out there right now who are interested in how you can support, a thumbs up will help a great deal. Just a thumbs up. It's free, costs nothing, but it does abundantly great things for the channel, because what it does is it lets that algorithm know that somebody here is watching and they enjoy it. And so what they do is they begin to stretch it out to the rest of the folks that are not getting their their notifications. I can see that there are several people that are not getting their notifications. So here's what we're doing today with this particular live. We are right now at the 15th of August. We are going to transition from the topics that we're talking now, and we're going to afford everybody the opportunity to give us a topic, and we will then go in, look that topic up. We'll watch a news article if we can find one based on that topic, as long as it's in line with, something American. I want to talk about how the news today affects us as American citizens. This evening, we are going to look at the homelessness situation. We're going to look at what President Trump has just done in DC, but we're also going to juxtapose that to other states in the United States that are doing the same thing at the same self time. But in tandem with that, you'll notice that over on the Lockhart Perspective, and if you're not subscribed there, you can go over there and subscribe. But you'll notice over there, we were talking about the SNAP benefits, where everybody was, up in arms because they were saying, oh my God, President Trump is canceling out this SNAP benefit. People aren't going to be able to buy snacks with it anymore and all these other things. But what we did over there last night was we sort of took a look at it. And we found that, hey, yeah, it's a good thing to make sure that people can buy healthy foods, but there was something that happened over the last 5 or 6 years, and that was an increased removal of large grocery stores in certain low-income areas that have now caused a food desert. And we also looked at the fact that while we have housing prices that are going up and rents that are going up, you also have employment levels that have stayed the same. And this has slid certain families into that lane of having to have food assistance. Now, when you take those two things together, you see that a lot of people are not going to be able to even get the food that they could get, because a lot of those food deserts now have pop-up stores like Family Dollar. They also have family, Dollar General, Family Dollar, and Dollar Tree, and all those places where some of those locations do have, some dairies, some eggs, some butter, but they don't have the fresh fruit. They don't have the fresh meats. They don't have the availability of lettuce and, produce and things like that. And so what you end up seeing is you'll find that those individuals are really going to suffer. Why? Because a lot of them don't drive. And I'm telling you right now, I'm in the South, and there are certain areas that do not have any bus stations. So I'm not building any excuses. What I'm saying is I understand what's about to happen. That's what I'm saying. So we're covering those. If you guys can give up some topics that, are going to be dealing with that, that's great. Right now, if you would like, we do have a goal, and the goal that we're looking for right now, we've got about 9 minutes left for the goal. So if you want to partake in giving to the channel, we're looking for 10 teal super chats. Then if you can do that for the channel, that'd be awesome if you're in a position to do so. And I also want to thank somebody else who gave to the channel over on the Lockhart Perspective. I think it was Gore who gave us a super heart after the live this morning over there. So there's a lot of great things that are going on. There's a lot of good stories that we're going to be covering this evening, 6 o'clock Central Time here on Headlines with a Voice, Lockhart Perspective. And we're really going to dig deep into the homelessness situation, because it's something that is near and dear to my heart, especially in light of the fact that these are not what everybody was complaining about even 20 years ago. Oh, the homeless, they just want to live like that. Oh, there's so many ways that they could get themselves a place to stay, but they just don't want to. What you've got to understand is in California, you've got a lot of displaced people. Here's what I notice about a lot of tragedy. And I want to ask you this, and I want you to tell me what you think, even right now. Have you noticed that with a lot of these tragedies that we see, like Lahaina, like North Carolina, like California, that for the time being that they're dealing with the tragedy, we're all fixed on watching it, interceding. Some people will pray. Some people will send up good thoughts. We're engaged. But a week later, we're on to another story. The question that I have is, do you often wonder, are those people still struggling that were going through the fire a week before? Well, you and I both know the common sense answer is, well, of course they are, Felicia. So then if they are, then were they able to recoup in California, for example? Were they able to recoup swiftly, knowing that a lot of those insurance companies had just pulled out of California, and a bevy of people lost their homeowners insurance only months before some of those fires sparked? So are those individuals now counted in the homelessness number of Californians? And remember what we shared on the other channel. A lot of those people were working. They can't leave their jobs. That's the last bastion of hope that they have. So now are we looking at the working homeless? I think we are. And I strongly believe that what we experienced in 2020 was a template of what we're experiencing right now today. I think that the hopelessness that occurrence expected to give us is what we're actually living through right now. Let me explain. When you consider how people were running and buying toilet paper and buying all these goods, people were still doing a little okay. People hadn't lost all the jobs that they've lost now. America has shed more jobs over the past 5 or 6 years than they've ever lost without having had a major war that we're dealing with, right? So those individuals that we're looking at that were working in California, they can't afford to leave California because they can't afford to leave their job because they're making money enough for them to survive in California. The only problem that those poor babies have is no place to stay. So what happens? You can't have whole families sometimes in shelters. Did you know that? So what we're going to be looking at tonight is the homelessness, but you can't have a whole family in a shelter. Sometimes the father and the mother get split up with the children. Well, they'll have a women's and a children's shelter, but daddy can't go. So then you may have everybody sleeping together in the car because they're not going to be separated. Now you've got them saying that people can't sleep in the cars in certain areas. Now they've got all those blue tarps that they know are going to be embarrassing when some of their dignitary friends from other countries come in, and they want all of those swept away. What's going on right now in DC is exactly that. And I have some strong things to share with you about that tonight at 6 o'clock Central Time right here. We're going to look at it because if we don't start to peel back these layers, we're going to find ourselves dealing with these things again. I just hope that these things are fixed sooner rather than later. But listen, we're coming up on the hour mark we're at 1 hour and 1 minute of sharing great time together. And I want to tell each and every one of you how much I appreciate you all for being here. For those of you who were not able to participate in our goal today of getting the 10 teal, I believe it's 10 teal super chats. Since we weren't able to get there and you watching in the after, you can definitely go ahead and hit and send a super heart. Now, no, I don't get all of that, but it does tell YouTube that this channel has the ability to put out some pretty good information that people think enough to give either an after chat or a super chat during the show. All right. Thank each and every one of you for being here. I want to thank my super mods for hanging out with us today. Don't forget to check us out this evening at 6 o'clock Central Time when we deal with the homelessness that's going on in America, as well as some of the resolve that our governments, both local and federal, have in mind as it relates to homelessness. Until then, you guys make sure that you take care of my friend because my friend is you. And then, I got to tell you to go get some sauce, baby. Peace. Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will.
Lockhart Perspective.